Hey guys, so in this video we are going to have a talk about some of the most popular tools of 2018, and let's reason a little bit about these things because I think it can get quite interesting. So let's get into it. Now, I'm basing this information on Stack Overflow's recently released survey for 2018, and basically what Stack Overflow did was to ask a bunch of roughly 100,000 developers about all manner of things related to programming. And when they were asked about things that, or rather they had three categories for used tech, which I thought was pretty interesting, which was wanted, loved and dreaded. And what's very interesting about this is that according to this survey, the absolute favorite tools of 2018 are basically TensorFlow, Node and React, which I think is very interesting because it's TensorFlow I kind of suspected, because I had another part of the survey indicated that the most wanted programming language, or the programming language that most developers want to learn that they don't already know, is Python. And I kind of suspected that because I made a video a while back where people asked me about my opinions on different programming languages and their strengths and so forth. And I made the recommendation to have a look, for those of you who are interested in machine learning, to have a look at Python, because it wasn't all that long ago that Python actually became a more popular search query, or things related to Python were more popular on Stack Overflow than JavaScript. And in that video I explained why I think that is, and the reason I gave was because machine learning is getting really, really popular. It's booming in essence. Like, rather, it's not booming, we are not really at the point yet, but I think that very soon we will see. That's another video I made a while back where I claim that, or rather this is still my guess, that the next generation of products that are coming our way is going to be based around projections and machine learning altogether. I think that we're moving from having all this data and providing services to predicting patterns and predicting things and informing people and our users about decisions that they should make today based on what's most likely going to happen in the future. That's, I think, what's going to happen next, and that's kind of that ties in very well into these numbers that TensorFlow, which is an AI framework or machine learning framework, and then you have Python, as I said, as the most desired second language, if you will. I think that's interesting. And when I read that Node was among the most loved and popular tools, I wasn't surprised, because that's basically what I've been telling you since day one. That's I've made almost every single video where I've told you about Node versus something else, and like what should you learn as your first platform and all that stuff. I've been saying that Node is the most popular one by far, and then React as the most popular framework. I kind of knew that already. Yeah, I made an old video about that as well. It's something that I felt I knew even before the previous video where I kind of showed that, because there were numbers that were released about this topic from GitHub as well. I think it was GitHub, I can't remember now, but basically that didn't come as a surprise. But what I found very interesting, now this is not me bashing anybody, but the most dreaded of the front-end frameworks, the least liked framework was Angular. Now, what's interesting about this is that React was the most popular or the most loved framework, but the most common, or rather the survey showed that the most commonly used framework was Angular. So it wasn't the most loved thing, it was the most hated thing, but it was also the most common one. And this is also another good is a strong word, but an old video that I made where I was talking about this exact thing, that just because something is popular, like React, for example, and I actually say in that video that React is more popular than Angular, but just because something's more popular than, I mean, that's a subjective term. What is popularity? Is it public opinion? Is something popular just because people like it, or is it popular because a lot of people use it? Kind of depends on your definition. So the reason why Angular has both those numbers in the bag as the most disliked framework, but also the most commonly used one, is for the same reason I gave in my previous video, where I state that Google sold in the idea of Angular as one of the first real efforts to make an SBA framework. And they did it so well that so many people standardized on it that it's still so common. Even though it's fallen from grace and people are going over to React, there's still so many companies who have standardized on Angular that it's still up there on the leaderboards. And this is why I keep telling people who have this, like I have so many people ask me, oh Fredrik, do you think that C# will make Java redundant, or do you think that Kotlin is going to make Java redundant, or do you think that React is going to take over? It doesn't work that way, guys. It doesn't work that way. Just because something comes along and becomes really, really popular, it doesn't mean that it completely annihilates the existence of everything else. All it means is that the ecosystem changes. That's it. It's like one thing that becoming extremely popular doesn't mean that everything else that was there before it just is not, it's just gone now. So think about that. So apart from that, other insights that I found was very interesting was that the most popular editor among the web developers is Visual Studio Code. No surprise there. I absolutely love that editor. It's my favorite one. It's my personal favorite one. And what I found was very interesting was that for mobile developers, Android Studio was the most popular one, followed by Visual Studio Code and then Xcode. And I can kind of get behind that because honestly, I really don't like Xcode. Like there are things that are, I don't dislike Swift. Swift is a really nice programming language and so forth, but I really hate iOS development. There's so many things that are so, let's just say, not very nice. And Android Studio, and this is also another old video where I kind of tell you that, those are my thoughts on this matter. So the reason why I'm making these videos about this, or why I was so excited about this survey, is because it's so nice to see that there's so many other people who kind of think the same way and have found the same things. And yeah, basically what I'm trying to tell you is that these are the numbers. And also when it comes to version control, this was an enormous number. Version control. So you know what I've been telling you to learn Git, and if you want to be a cool developer, you need to learn Git and stick with Git. 88%. That was the number of people who had said that they used Git as their version control system. Of 100,000 people, 88%, followed by Subversion at 16%. So, yeah, Git. Just stick with Git. This is an important thing because I have tons and tons of people who will tell me, as you may imagine, every time you say something about something or you express an opinion about, oh, this is the way that I think that something is and so forth, you have tons of people who will tell you that you're wrong, that it's not the most popular thing, yada, yada, yada. And it was actually very funny because I had a subscriber that called me out and said that, no, you shouldn't recommend Git as the version control system for people because it's not, it's bad advice. And I just sat there when I read that and I thought, well, I can see a point, I suppose, but to claim that Git is not almost the world standard for version control is that makes me question how experienced this subscriber actually is with programming. I'm not saying that Git is the best thing in the world, but I'm saying we can at least agree that it's fairly popular. And now I have the numbers to back that up. So I'm very happy about this little report, and I encourage you to go and have a look at it. because it's going to give you a lot of insights into what's going on in the programming world. Have a great day.